if you know anything about me, you know that I love platform fighters.
You mean Smash clones?
What did you say to me? Go ahead, say it again, I dare you! That excuse your face, Josephina Day! Back when almost every creator online used Flash, there were a few devs that decided to make their own platform fighters with the software, and here are just 5. First, let's start with NewGrounds Rumble. The cast consists of some of the most well-known NewGrounds characters at the time, which really shows how much of an impact the site has made considering that characters like Salad Fingers and Pico are still recognizable to this day. The game has such a unique art style that complements every fighter, allowing them to blend in with each other without sacrificing their identity. The game uses a health bar system rather than the percentage that most are used to, which I wished more platform fighters would experiment with. I like the percentage system, but I would also like to see the genre try new things. The roster may not seem that big, but you have to remember that this is a Flash game made during the mid-2000s. Having a roster of characters that goes past the double digits was impressive. Some of the characters you can play as include Pico, Tankman, Salad Fingers, Hank J Wimbleton, Fancy Pants, and Alien Hominid. Many within the NewGrounds community have been hoping for a sequel for quite some time. Considering the huge resurgence the site went through during the late 2010s thanks to Tumblr's mishandling of their own platform, which weirdly enough helped out Tumblr, as that meant that the crazies left to go to Twitter instead, making Tumblr more of a sane platform to use. Also in the early 2020s, with Friday Night Funkin's massive reach, now's probably a better time than ever to make a new game. Maybe you can even make it a selling point with a free update system and continued support. Feel free to tell me yours, but some characters I'd like to see in the new NewGrounds Rumble include Ed from Ed's World, Dad from Dad and Me, Meat Boy, the crewmate from Among Us, Isaac, and Skid and Pump from Spooky Month. And for some out-of-left field picks, I'd like to see the Interactive Buddy and Rennie from Pretty Blood. And, maybe one of my characters. And, I'm on NewGrounds. I'd like to think that my stuff is, pretty epic.
You're so fucking pathetic. It's actually hilarious.
Yeah, well, at least I have bones!
I told you I'm subconscious about my lack of bones!
Speaking of Isaac and Meat Boy, did you know that their creator, Edmund Mcmillen, actually made his own platform fighter on Flash? That's right, the guy famous for Super Meat Boy, The Binding of Isaac, The End is Nigh, and probably his most renowned creation, The Boy Who Questioned God. That one was my favorite. In all seriousness, I love Edmund Mcmillen's stuff. Next to Jonan Vasquez, Tim Burton, and David Firth, he's probably one of my biggest inspirations, so hearing that in 2007 he made a platform fighter genuinely made me squeam joy. Host is a game where you play as this pile of flesh with a skull for a head, where you must extrude your face to hit your opponent until they explode into a disgusting red goodness. Or whatever color you decide, as the game has several customizable options. Host was Edmund Mcmillen's first multiplayer game he made with Calder Bradford. Side note, but while writing this script I accidentally wrote his name as Cauldron, as if he's an evil witch or something.
I'm going to make fleshy games online.
This game actually exists in a bigger universe called the Badlands. The Badlands is a deserted wasteland full of disgusting fleshy creatures all hunting each other. Every game that takes place in this universe gives us a bit of trivia about the species we'll be playing as, sort of like a nature documentary. The universe started with 2003's Carious Wetling, as it continued on to Carious Wetling 2, Viviparous Dumpling, Serious Peashy, and this game, which seems to be the last title that takes place in this universe. Host is unique because it's a platform fighter that's a little edgy, and as far as I know, throughout the extensive history of the genre, that really hasn't existed anywhere else. Every genre has their edgy counterpart. Fighting games have Mortal Kombat, first-person shooters have Doom, platformers have Super Meat Boy, but platform fighters don't really have an alternative option. Minus this game, of course, but that's probably because, despite the genre's age, it is still niche. I wish I could say it's still an option, but that's unfortunately not the case, as the game's servers have been shut down for a while now. Even trying to use the Blue Maximus Flashpoint player doesn't help. The one alternative platform fighter I could find, and you can't even play it anymore? This stinks! Sonic fan games are everywhere, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Sonic Galactic, Roboblast 2, before the sequel, Project 06, and so much more. They even hired fan game devs to create an official title, resulting in Sonic Mania. Now, if only Nintendo had a similar attitude to fan games made with passion and love for their series that have no evidence of inflicting on the sales of official titles. Now, let's go after YouTube channels to make obvious parodies and Gmod of all things. Nintendo may be a good developer, but god, they can be just straight up evil at times.
Let's see what you got. Okay then, let's get ready to do it. Catch me if you can.
So of course, there was a Sonic platform fighter called Sonic Smash Bros. Releasing around the time of Sonic 06, the game takes heavy inspiration from Super Smash Bros. Melee aesthetically, as that was the most relevant title at the time. At the beginning, you only have 3 characters, the main trio, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. But if you don't feel like unlocking everyone, you can just go to the password screen by holding insert on the keyboard and clicking, then entering the passcode, up, over, and gone. But what if you don't have an insert key on your keyboard? Fuck, I don't know, man. The game is pretty alright, but if you didn't grow up with it like I did, you might not really be able to be as into it. The game faces a lot of issues with its age. Much like the next game on this list, the damage and knockback that attacks do seem to be completely inconsistent, and even if a character is sent flying, you'd think that would be enough to kill them, they come right back like nothing happened. But just a simple attack at low percentage could be the death of you. Honestly, I kind of wish there was an official Sonic platform fighter. These character designs work really well for the genre, but this is a good start, I'd say. Now for quite possibly one of the most well-known Smash Bros. Fan games, 2006's Super Smash Flash, created by McCloud Gaming. Much like Sonic Smash Bros., the game's aesthetic takes a lot of inspiration from Super Smash Bros. Melee. It has many of the veterans from the first 2 games that you'd normally expect, like Mario, Link, Kirby, and Pikachu, while also adding newcomers who would later become official Smash fighters, such as Wario, Metaknight, who is for some reason a transformation for Kirby, and Sonic. Of course, they also added some newcomers that would probably make some people very happy, like Chrono from Chrono Trigger, X from Mega Man X, and Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, and Super Sonic from the Sonic series. They also added some stranger newcomers like Naruto, Inuyasha, Mr. Incredible, and 2 original characters named Blade and Blue. Honestly, I love the addition of some of these weirder fighters, as it shows they're willing to take advantage of the fact that this was indeed a fan game. Some characters may never be in Smash, so fan projects are a good way to make that a reality. The game only has 5 attacks: a neutral attack, typically a projectile, a side attack, an up attack, a down ground attack, and a down air attack. But it does have a similar problem to Sonic Smash Bros., where attacks do random damage and knockback. Somehow it's even worse here. One single hit could send someone flying.
I once shot the guy so hard he went straight to the moon.
You did not do that! There's no such thing as the moon! Yes, it is very flawed, and has definitely shown its age, but it would only get better with age and a sequel. Speaking of... Now to the biggest game on this list, Super Smash Flash 2, which has been in development since 2008 and is still adding new content to this day. Comparing the first Super Smash Flash to the most recent version of the second game, it has improved in almost every sense of the word. Fully fleshed out movesets, new mechanics, beautifully animated original sprites, new musical arrangements, several single player and multiplayer modes, and so much more. You've got an impressively sized roster of nearly 50 fighters, some fighters who are already in Smash like Sonic, Mega Man, Pac-Man, while also adding some new characters who would eventually get into Smash, like Sora. They revealed Simon Belmont coincidentally the same week as his reveal in Smash Ultimate. Of course, you get some newcomers that many would love to see in official Smash Brothers, like Isaac from Golden Sun, Waluigi, Rayman, Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia, and Tails. It doesn't have any more weird picks in it as much as the first game. We've only got 4 out-of-pocket characters, being Goku, Naruto, Ichigo, and Monkey D. Luffy. Which is kinda disappointing. This is a fan game, it should be able to take full advantage of the fact that it's not official by adding the weirdest fighters you could add. I actually have a story about this game. I discovered Super Smash Flash 2 back when it was new in 2008. At the time I was in intermediate school. Some of you might not know what that is considering that not every school district has them, so let me just tell you. Well, you know how elementary school is usually 1st to 4th grade, middle school is 5th to 6th, and high school is 9th to 12th? Well, intermediate school takes up half of middle school, more specifically 5th to 6th grade, as middle school was 7th to 8th. So middle school wasn't even the middle of your education anymore, it was now your greater half.
Enough of this half-full BS. Get back to the story. It's like you have a half-empty brain.
Fine, whatever. Now, I don't know if schools still do this or not, or how strict they are with it, but my school was very protective of what websites we could and couldn't go on. YouTube was one of the sites we were locked out of, but McLeodGaming.com was fine. So, on free time, I would play Super Smash Flash 2, and people would constantly ask me what I was playing or what website I was using. I ended up getting a lot of the school addicted to SSF2 as they were to Bloxors or whatever virus-filled bootleg of Tetris they could find. It got so bad that the school ended up blocking the site from computers, so it was back to Bloxors for us. I ain't complaining no, because this shit fucks! But still, this game has an amazing legacy with several years of work behind it. While the Adobe Flash Player was shut down in 2020, the devs have made it so that the game can still work without it. McLeod Gaming is also working on a new game called Fraymakers, an indie crossover platform fighter with the ability to create your own fighters, stages, and content, which is something I'd love to talk about in the future.